We are cranking up the digital projector, heading out into the interweb, getting to your computer, and we are live. So, welcome to Hug Nation Live. I'm John Halcyon Stin. Looking forward to hearing what you're grateful for. Looking forward to sharing a little gratitude. If you're watching this recording, I sometimes don't have a sense of it. So if you ever want to just send me a note and say, hey, caught the recording and I think you're full of shit. Or, oh, and let me tell you what I'm grateful for. Would love to hear it. You can also leave a comment, but I have less faith in the notification systems of our digital tools. So if you ever leave a comment and I don't respond, my apologies, but it is because I am being bound and blindfolded by these digital tools. If you're here, say hello. If you watch this recording, say hello. Tell me what you're grateful for. I am grateful for a really packed, productive day yesterday. Worked on some holiday gifts and did a bunch of gardening. We've got these big jade plants, and one of them, or a number of them, have fallen. They kind of rooted at the stem. They're big, so I bought a pickaxe and I bought a sawzall and I cut off the bottoms to where they're no longer rotted, and then I'm replanting them because apparently jade plants are known for their ability to just like start growing. So we'll see. But it was very rewarding. So I'm grateful to get my hands dirty, to get in the garden, to spend some time with living things. Really grateful for that. Grateful for my relationship to plants and living things. Was asked recently, like, when did you start getting into gardening? And it was really right after I graduated from college. I lived in well, actually, it was the end of my college, like my last year at college, I planted a bulb. I got a kit at the store and bought a narcissus bulb. You put it in a no, it wasn't narcissus. It was no, wait, yeah, paper whites, little paper white bulbs, and it grew so fast. It may have been an amaryllis. Either way, so fast, so rewarding, such a like a a visceral experience of life and the transformation of something that appeared to be lifeless into something with life and thriving and feeding off sun and nutrients. And I was just like, wow. And then when I learned that the way that you care for a bulb is that once it has bloomed and it starts to die and it's less pretty, you the instinct is to like cut it off so to get rid of all the ugly parts, but that is the wrong thing to do if you want to allow it to continue to thrive. Because as it is yellowing and turning brown, all the energy that is in the living plant is pulled back into the bulb. And so a healthy life with all the an environment that is healthy, if it gets the nutrients, the sun, the if its life is uh, filled with opportunity as far as a plant goes, then its bulb will grow. And I couldn't help but think of that as a incredible metaphor or visual or way to look at the human spirit. And that when it gets all of the environment, its needs met, it blooms and it is a healthy, strong, beautiful bloom. And then once it is no longer at the end of its life, it retreats and the bulb, the spirit, the soul is healthier this like karmic cycle of a plant. So I fell in love, and then after college, I moved in with my parents and started planting things in their yard. And it was pre-internet, so I would go to the library and get books on plants, and then go to the nursery and buy different vines. And I was really obsessed with vines. I still love the way a vine has such a personality as it sends out tendrils and grabs things. And so I planted grapevines and morning glory, much to my parents' annoyance, because at the time I was 23, could not really comprehend of 10, 20 years into the future. In fact, when I planted the grape plant, the more I read, I'm like, it takes 5 years to train a grape plant before it makes fruit. And I'm like, I just had this. I bought a trellis, and I just had this dream of it growing over the trellis and grapes hanging down. But when I learned 5 years, I mean, I was 22. That's a fifth of my life, more than a fifth of my life. I was like, oh. So, but now, since it has now been uh, 30 plus years since I planted those, they've become a nuisance. And morning glories are just vicious and relentless and taking over. And so my dad, once a month, lets me know that he just spent the morning ripping out the morning glory plants that have been taking over other plants and bushes and trees. And then the grape plant grew all the way into my parents' canyon and became like this ground cover filled with. They're like wine grapes. They don't taste good, but it looks pretty amazing. But then you've got issues with animals and insects and rotting. And so my apologies to my parents, but what a beautiful introduction to a sense of connection to the natural world, and a kind of opening of my mind into the beauty of life, death, decay cycles. So thank you, plants. I am so grateful for you. If you're here, say hello, leave some gratitude, share it with us. Good morning, Juan. I am grateful for you and your heart and your relentless, I was going to say relentless optimism. That's a phrase that was used with my grandpa a number of times, but your unwavering commitment to being a love ambassador. Hey, High Noon. Good day to you. High Noon says, I am grateful for slowing down, meditation, food, water with electrolytes, and mental health therapy. And to put a cherry on top, grateful for this gratitude circle, part of therapy. Me too. I'm so grateful for this practice and those that share it with me. I'm also really grateful for the Zoom gratitude practice, which, if you enjoy this, I really think you would enjoy popping in at noon Pacific if you can make it. And just hearing little bits of gratitude from people around the world. There's actually one regular who has had some of her art therapy actually go viral recently, and so she's looking to articulate what she's doing. And so I have an appointment today with her to interview her so that she can. It's something that's hard to, just write everything that you want to say, but it's a lot easier sometimes to explain or have a conversation. So I'm really excited this afternoon to get to be helpful in someone articulating their passion and their inspiration and their tools of healing in the world. Heinun says, I'm grateful for a buddy of mine for checking on me. Thanks, Tim. That's awesome. Yay. I'm grateful for my brother who is a patriot. He got called in for jury duty yesterday, and he got called and he is serving on a trial. So many people, the whole thing is, how do you get out of it? Or it's so easy to get out of it. And I've spoken passionately about this in the past, but jury duty is, one of those nonviolent ways that you can be of service to our country. If you consistently get out of jury duty, what you are doing is you are making this legal system lean in the direction away from your sensibilities and your sense of justice. Meaning, we have a system where you are put in front of a jury of your peers. So, and we have so many people that are unjustly accused of things, right? So, if some weird, freaky, pink-haired burner guy gets caught doing something that is, maybe illegal in the eyes of the law, but he thinks is morally fine, and he gets in trouble and has to go to trial. If all of the people like us get out of it, the people who are going to be deciding if my crimes are legitimate, if I deserve to be punished, are going to be people who are retired people, who are government workers, who are those people anyone who doesn't feel like they're too busy, to do their duty. So I've showed up and I've been, put on the jury stand and interviewed, and I've been excused every time, which I guess makes sense. Last time I was called in, I they asked me, I said I was a YouTuber, and then they asked me what I YouTube, and I ended up mentioning Burning Man, and I mentioned gratitude circles. I mentioned I do gratitude circles, and before I knew it, I was talking about the 10 principles of Burning Man and all excited and I'm like, "Hey, I got a room full of people," and they excused me. But my brother, he was chosen yesterday, and 3 years ago, he served on I think, a 2-week murder trial that I can't say the details around it, but it was super intense, and it was a lot to put somebody through for 2 weeks to, you know, have to listen to testimony and look at visuals and put yourself, over and over into this to really face the horror of this situation, of this crime. And in this situation, it was one of the factors was the person mentally sound. And so then you've even got compassion for this person who, is feels like they are listening to what God is telling them to do. Man. So I am grateful for my brother, the patriot, who does his duty and shows up, because if I ever go to trial, I want people like him to be the ones who are arguing in a room of my guilt or my innocence. Anybody else want to share any gratitude today? I'm grateful for how much fun I've been having making coloring books. I got my first, I've made 2 prototypes, but this is not This is the original one before I customized it. This is mostly just Hug Monster with generic people. I've since changed like the face of this girl to a girl I know. And like the new version has Asher riding a dinosaur. This picture is, that's not going to be in the new one. Although maybe I should drop it in the new one. I just ordered a version for a family who has 3 young kids, and so I put tons of pictures of their faces in all these cool scenarios. So, and I'm really glad I got this. I was bumming myself out that I ordered a bunch of copies before I realized how much fun it would be to customize it. So this original one, it's just Hug Monster in scenarios like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Hug Monster. The new one is Hug Monster and kids that I know. A lot of pictures of Asher, a lot of Sophia, and other kids. And the other Christmas gift that I'm ordering moisture monitors for all my friends. Not all my friends, but for several people in my life, because I use this all the time now that it's for soil. So most people overwater. I learned that I was overwatering even when you think, oh, I do it every 2 weeks. Well, you pop this thing in and you can go, oh, wow, the soil is still moist. And I've learned that most of my plants want the soil to be fully dried out before it gets more water. Otherwise, the roots get waterlogged and then they rot. So it's a part of my daily life. And speaking of waterlogs and rot, I realized yesterday that the rose bush that I got for Lisa's birthday last year that recently bloomed, the pot it was in has a bottom saucer that collects water so that you can bottom water if you want to, once the roots get long enough. And I had forgotten it had that on it. So we just had a bunch of big rains. So the bottom dish was filled, and then the pot was, for like 2 weeks, it has not been drying out. Thank goodness I realized that yesterday, and I had Lisa help me to pull it all out, check the roots, and then dump out all the water and all the wet soil, and then repot it with a dry soil with a little bit mix that would hold water a little less. So crossing my fingers that the plant hospital treatment is going to work. Well, I'm grateful for an opportunity to practice gratitude, and grateful for this day, this time of year. I love it in San Diego. It's like when I was working in the yard, I was wearing short sleeve shirts, but it's also cold enough that I can wear a beanie, which for where my hair is at right now, it is so nice to be able to feel like I can just throw a hat on and not worry about what is going to happen as oh my, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of loving this, what year is it look, but, there are times that, when I walk into Home Depot, I prefer to be like, sup? All right. Well, wherever you are, give yourself a big old squeeze, appreciating this body, this life, this day, appreciating the little things like the running water, the electricity, the ability to pick up your phone and check on a friend or get a message of kindness from someone you know. Know that you are always in a position to be the person that sends a message of kindness. It's on my list today is to try to send out some messages to just let people know I'm thinking about them. So as we sink into this gratitude, let's take a deep breath in and squeeze one another. And anyone who's ever been through this space, connected to this vibe of gratitude and connection. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all of us here, thanks for being here for Hug Nation Live. Love you. You know, maybe I will pop on the video that I put yesterday live, which is a little Hug Nation, a Love Warrior meetup video that I made. Where is that? I may not look as pink as I used to, but I'm still just as dedicated to spreading pink in the world and being a love ambassador. Let's start the year right and come together for the Love Ambassador Meetup, January 10th and 11th in San Diego, California. Having workshops and connection all day. Then Saturday night, we'll put on our best pink outfits and go to the Pink Heart fundraiser at Spin Nightclub. Let's recharge each other. Let's inspire each other. Let's be examples of what we want to see in the world. See you in San Diego.